In this video, you are going to see the entire warm-up mobility drill that my clients and myself go through that can help you optimize your squats as effectively and as safely as possible in order to achieve your goals, whether that is to hit PBs, so strength goals, or just to build muscle. So first, we want to start off with the first exercise, which is the front foot elevated split squat. And the reason that we are working on mobility as opposed to what I commonly see is that women will jump on the treadmill to warm up. However, we want to be practicing mobility because in this first exercise, as you could see, we want to make sure that we have a good range of motion at the ankle and hip joint, as you could see. So with the foot on my right, as you could see, we are pushing the knees past your toes and keeping that front foot flat on that plate, as you could see. So the intention behind this first mobility drill is to work at the knee and hip joint, because when you are squatting, both of these joints must be in its full range of motion in order to reach that squat depth, in order to help you achieve your goals of strength or gains. Here, take your time and be really intentional. Before we do any kind of squats, you want to prime your body to allow it or make your body aware of the movement that you are going to take it through, which is going to be the flexion at the ankle joint, as you could see what I'm pointing here, and at the hip. So I have placed a kettlebell on top, which you could do just to give that resistance and making sure that the foot stays planted on that plate, as you could see. There is an elevation, as you could see, because the other leg, which is at the back, is also doing work because you are opening up the hips at the back, as you could see. So here on the other side, the whole foot is planted down and then you're pushing that knees past your toes. It is okay to push your knees past your toes because we want to have that flexion, that range of motion at the ankle joint in order to reach that squat depth. When you are able to reach the squat depth, that is where the gains come from. So you would do about 2 to 3 sets for about 5 to 6 reps on either side. Over here, I am just showing you a tripod feet. So you want to be able to screw your feet to the floor. So at the heels, your big toe and your little toe, and you want to be thinking that you're grounding your foot, both your foot into the ground. This is the tripod feet. So when I am doing the first mobility drill, I am also consciously thinking of a tripod feet where the 3 points, which is your big toe, little toe, as well as your heels, is grounded to the floor. You're consciously thinking because everything that you do, especially when you're lifting heavy weights, comes from the foot up. You want to have big stability. So the tripod feet is important. And I really wanted to share that with you because this is what I'm consciously thinking when you are doing your squats. It's not just the movement pattern, but thinking of a tripod feet and want to be able to have stability. In order to get that stability, it starts from the feet up and we want to be as stable as possible. So before I did it without the heel elevation, and you could see that the back, if you wind it backwards, my back is leaning forward, but with the heel elevation, so getting 2.5 kilos of weight, plate weight, your heel is slightly elevated, as you could see here. This will allow you to have more of an upright torso, because when the heels aren't elevated, your back can lean a little bit forward, which isn't a bad thing, but we want to practice having as upright torso as possible. So again, you are still thinking of a tripod feet where you're pushing through the heels, front big and little toe. And here you are doing it with a kettlebell. So just a somewhat giving yourself resistance so that you are priming your body with this movement pattern. So coming down with a tempo of about 6 to 8 seconds down and sitting in the bottom position for about 5 seconds. The whole idea of the kettlebell goblet squat, so this is a goblet squat, so the kettlebell is in front of you. This is what it looks like in the front view. You want to be incredibly intentional with your warm-ups. Often people will just fly through their warm-ups with no intention, but this is where it counts. When you get to the gym and when you start your workout, you are being intentional from the get-go. This is going to dramatically influence and have that carry over effect to when you do your actual working set. So this is what it looks like in the front view with a body weight. Because I have been squatting for a period of time, I am able to maintain that upright torso. But if you find yourself leaning too far forward, then pop the plates on your heels to allow more of an upright torso, because this way it gives me more stability with the tripod foot. So the heel, little toe and big toe. And as you could see, that foot is planted and I'm coming down in a tempo of about 6 to 8 seconds and taking your time. And at the bottom of the deep squat here, I am also in this deep squat position for a good 4 to 5 seconds. There's no right or wrong. It just depends. And the whole idea of it is to really prime your body for you to be before you pop a barbell on your back. Another great benefit to doing a tempo squat, as you could see here, is that anytime you tend to lean forward, you could correct yourself and move back up a little bit. So you are taking your time. This also allows you the opportunity to connect your mind to your muscle and practicing all the good form where you are keeping an upright torso, you are engaging your core, and you are taking your time. Again, taking your time. So after you do about 3 to 4 rounds of those tempo squats, then this is the next one that I normally do. And it really is just sitting in that deep squat position and pushing those knees out. Here is another drill that you could do if you find that you are limited in your ankle mobility. So just what I did just before, which is just pushing the knees past your toes. All right, so this mobility here is actually a glute stretch, or also known as a pigeon stretch, where the front foot is in front of you and we are stretching or opening up your hips on this side, as well as stretching and open your glutes. And here, as you could see, I'm moving down to really get to that glute in a stretched position. This is what it looks like on the side. So just using the opportunity to push the knees past my toes, and then you will see that I will So with this one, as you could see, the aim of it is to have your hamstrings touching your calves. And then yes, here I am doing the glute stretch. Is what it looks like on the side. You want to try and keep your hips down as possible. And here you're really trying to think about moving your glutes. So you could lean far forward or to the side just to get that stretch. And you want to sit here for about 5 seconds. And you do the same on the other side. So when it comes to these mobility warm-ups, the main thing when you think of a squat is that you are opening up the hips. You are at the bottom of a deep squat. This is where your glutes are in its most stretched position. When it's in its most stretched positions, this is where you grow muscle. So you want to sort of, any exercise you do, regardless of squats or deadlifts, you want to imitate the movement. You want to activate your glutes here. This is what I'm doing to activate. As you could see, I'm putting my glutes in its most stretched position, leaning forward and feeling that stretch in my glutes. And at the same time, you are also opening up your hips on your left side. So you would do about 2 to 3 I would say 2 sets on each side, and you're just sinking in this position for a good 5 to 10 seconds. There's no right or wrong timing in how you stay in this static position. It is what you feel most comfortable. You don't want to overdo it as well, because that could affect your warm-up and working sets. But trial and error, a whole warm-up could last anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes. And it really depends. If you feel quite warmed up and you're ready, then it could be shorter. And if you feel like you need more warm up, then it will be longer. This is just another one which is great for the abductors. This is an abductor stretch, and especially our abductors can tend to be quite tight, which is your inner thighs, as I was touching there. So with this one, you really want to stretch out your adductors here, because when you are doing a squat, often the adductors can get quite tight. And if you just stretch it opening up your hips here, as you could see, and also at the same time, you're consciously pushing those knees out. And as you could see through this whole entire warm-up mobility drill, I am being intentional. It is not sped up in any way. So here, I'm just doing some calf stretches. This is also optional. Sometimes when we loosen up those calf muscles, that can help us have a greater range of motion at the ankle joint. Remember, when you do your squats, we need to have good ankle mobility and hip mobility. This allows us to reach that squat depth whilst keeping an upright torso. Here, I'm just doing a little bit of a hamstring stretch. There's no right or wrong way, as I've mentioned. Trial and error with these exercises, but it really is about being intentional. So the next one, where we jump on the barbell. All right, so this is completely optional. This is called a zombie squat. You can or you don't have to add this into your warm-up, but if you want to get a good core engagement, then performing a zombie squat like so. So zombie squat basically is your hands out like so. You're in a zombie position and the barbell just sits on the shoulder shelf, as you could see. The whole idea with the zombie squat is that it puts your body in a position where you are maintaining an upright torso to balance the barbell in front of you, as well as having that core engagement. So if you are someone that tends to lean too far forward and struggle for an upright torso, and you want to activate your core, then doing 1 to 2 or even 3 reps of a slow descent of the zombie squats can be incredibly beneficial. And then once you are warmed up, by now you should be, then you are ready to pop a barbell on your back. And this is also to remind you to do your warm-up sets. So this is a warm-up set, and it depends on what your actual working set is. Generally, the more weight you could squat, then you need more warm-up sets. And when it comes to warm-up sets, there's no right or wrong. It depends. Trial and error. You want to find that sweet spot that works for you, but you want to gradually prime your body for it to be able to do your actual working set as safely and as effectively as possible. I hope that this was helpful, and if you do have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me on my socials or send me an email. I am more than happy to answer your questions, and I appreciate your time and attention. Thank you for watching this video.